All right, good evening, everybody. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Brian Bohrer, a distinguished figure in the world of endurance sports. Brian has an impressive career as an Ironman director, known for his meticulous planning and passion for the sport. His journey in the endurance community spans numerous events, including 70.3 North Carolina. Brian's dedication to creating exceptional race experiences has earned him a stellar reputation among athletes and organizers alike. Please joining me in welcoming Brian Bohrer. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and there's a lot of people that are getting very excited about Boulder 70.3 coming up in just a few short weeks. And we really are, excited that we get to give them hopefully a sneak peek into what will be some of the things that we at the athlete briefing, but getting that information a month in advance. Before we get into all of that, we would love to start this icebreaker with you. If you can give us 3 statements about yourself, 2 of which you know to be true, 1 you know to be a lie. April and I will try to pick the lie out of the bunch here verbally, and we'll ask our audience to guess which is your lie in the chat, and then we'll get started.
Okay, so I've been with Ironman for 10 years. I have finished a 200-mile race, 200-mile foot race, and I used to own a bagel shop.
Mile foot race, 10 years with Ironman, and used to own a bagel shop. You're an ultra runner, I know that. You've been with Ironman a while too, as I recall from looking at your LinkedIn profile. I'm going with a bagel shop as the lie, and hopefully you prove me wrong. But April?
I think he did 250 miles. I think he did something like the Cocodona, something like that. I think I got him on a technicality.
So honestly, it's actually it's not a 2. I've done a couple 100-milers, but I've never done the 200. My good friend of mine just finished, but I did own a bagel shop for 6 years. So in North Carolina, not here in Colorado.
What was the toughest thing about owning a bagel shop?
The hours. It's literally like I'll show my age here, but if you remember the commercials, it's time to make the donuts when the guy got up and would go the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. It's like that. You're waking up at 2:30 in the morning, you go in every day, and you're kind of half asleep while you're making bagels. So we made everything every morning from scratch. So it's a crazy hours. Yeah.
When you actually are on a race, you're probably thinking, I could be doing this. I could be waking up this early every day.
I'll plug it in a minute when I'm done eating.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's getting some feedback. Casey? Yeah, exactly. So I just left the UTMB side of our business. I still help out a little bit, but putting on 100-mile races, they might compare a little bit to the bagel shop hours. Those races go on for like 36 hours, not to mention the front and the end of them. It sometimes feels like you don't know what day it is. But yes, I would always say I almost got 2 days in one, because I'd go in and bake from like 2:30 in the morning till like 10 after the morning rush, and I go take a nap. Then I get up and have my second day of like all the other duties that goes along with owning a bakery.
I gotta ask, Brian, would you come home smelling like an everything bagel at the end of the day?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I bet you were the guy to be around.
The bag. Yeah. The clothes that I had back, they're stained forever. You're never getting that smell out.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing.
Do you have a favorite bagel?
Bagels are my favorite, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my favorite too.
Yeah.
It's mine as well. So 10 years with Ironman. Maybe for our audience, give us a short kind of flyover of your career at Ironman and how you ended up at Boulder.
Yeah, sure. So I was part of, actually before Ironman, I was part of Beach to Battleship, which some of the people on the call might remember, or you might remember. And I sat on that committee and was in charge of the run course for 2 years. I volunteered for a couple years before that, and then I sat on the committee and was in charge of their run course coordinator. And then in 2015, Ironman approached the committee and the owners and to purchase it. And so I did a couple races with them just to see if I wanted to stay on board. 2016 was my first kind of season, I would say, working with them. I worked the Raleigh race and a couple races just regionally, and I fell in love. And so then they offered me a job to race direct in 2017 for the Ironman North Carolina when it turned to 70.3, and I did that for 3 years. And then in 2019, I accepted a full-time gig. I was still just doing contracting work with them as a race director. And I was traveling around and just I did a lot of bike course. That was kind of my thing that I enjoyed the most, and did kind of that strictly other than race directing for about 4 years with the company. 2019 to end of 20, which we all know what happened. I took a full-time job as the operations director, which brought me to Boulder. And I was overseeing one of our regions, the Midwest region of the company. And then COVID changed the face of what endurance events were for, I mean, just now starting to really recover, right? So during that time, our company started to explore a partnership with the UTMB World Series out of Chamonix. And I am a passionate trail runner. I kind of, as the triathlon part of my life phased away, I did that for 10 years. I started to really just fall in love with dirt, if you will. And so I just raised my hand and said, I want to be involved. I don't know what it looks like, how, but I'd love to do it. And kind of by default, I ended up running that series from in 2021 to 3 and 4. We took it from no races to 6 races at the end of this season, or last season. And so some of those were acquisitions, and then we had our first race we created in Whistler in last year. So that's kind of the overview. And I'm no longer overseeing that series. I still help, I don't know if you want to call it consult, or just sometimes just be a crew guy, which I love. And I was at the first 2 events that year, and then I'm actually race directing Speed Goat for our company this year. So I'll be in the Wasatch Mountains, which is amazing, in July. And we'll have Carl back, but he's decided he's going to just come and have fun with the race. And we'll be doing the operation side of it, and he's just going to come mark some trails and be around the event. So that's kind of where we're at today and that led me to Boulder. When I stepped away, I was kind of like, wasn't sure what I was going to do. And the opportunity presented itself within a week of me deciding not to be full-time anymore. And I raised my hand, and I live here. So I'm like, of course, I'd love to race direct this race. And I've been a part of it in some shape, form, or fashion since before I moved here. So
it has just such a special vibe,
It is.
being there right in the foothills. And,
It is.
Boulder is just such an attractive place for people all over the world and the country
Absolutely.
to come to. So we're really glad you're here. We're really glad you're with us tonight.
Yeah.
And thanks you for sharing a little bit about your background, both professionally and athletically.
Yeah, absolutely.
April, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, Brian, there's a lot of folks here that are coming from all over to check Boulder out. And I wanted to ask you, why race Boulder 70.3? What makes Boulder stand out from other Ironman choices that others could make?
Yeah, I mean, Rich kind of hit on it. The beauty of the flat irons. I mean, even if you've seen them, every time you see them, drive by them all the time, and it's stunning. I think getting to run around the res, that area is beautiful. I personally like the packed dirt that you get to run on. That's not all of our races don't have that, so it does kind of present, I don't want to say a challenge, but you're just a uniqueness to the run course that some of our other events don't have. The bike course in the last 2 years, I believe, this will be the 3rd year, is pretty much considered closed. I mean, there are some local leaks that we have to allow, like for neighborhoods to get in and out of, or cut across the course. But for all intents and purposes, it's a closed course, which is pretty amazing to be in this area and to have access to the roads and race right at the foothills. When you're riding down Foothill Parkway or 36, and you have that view on your left. It's beautiful. And then swimming in the res, you don't get to do that on an everyday basis, which is pretty cool. And Boulder's just a cool town. I mean, all the pros live here, train here, all of them, but a lot of them. So it does usually allows a pretty big turnout for the pro field, which I won't speak to tonight because I don't know, but they are always a big turnout. And then Boulder itself is pretty just a cool rad town with lots of cool coffee shops and breweries and restaurants and all the things. So I learned somewhere along the way in this business that sometimes it's more about selling it to the people that are traveling with you than you. So like, it's a cool place for your family to hang out, and we're trying to do some different things at the res this year that I can speak to in a little bit, just to entertain while you're out for 4 to 5, 6 or whatever, 7 hours.
Awesome. That's on
Yeah,
our
that's
list to get
great.
to. Or you touched on it a little bit with respect to the course. If you don't mind, let's just talk through it, because there are a lot of folks that are going to be doing this for the first time.
Sure.
They may not be familiar with it. I'm like always, well, how is it compared to last year or the year before? But maybe
Yeah.
let's just start with the swim. Are we still starting at the boat ramp?
We are starting the boat ramp, and you'll exit, so it's kind of a counterclockwise, I guess it is, triangle ish shape, and then you'll get out. The transitions basically in one of the large parking lots where the trailers and sailboats are normally, but that's obviously cleared out. And then as far as the swim, it's pretty straightforward. It's 2 big turns, right? Left, and back in. And a short run to your bike, which is nice. And then we do, for when you hop on your bike, you do a short little out and back inside the res. There's been a lot of iterations, if you've raced this before, where we used to do around kind of the parking lot. This is actually just kind of an out and back with a left turn that's sharp. So we always tell people to slow and be careful. You only do that on the way out. And that's honestly just a mileage grab, because the course is like 56.1. So we just want to make sure, 1.2. So it's a quick grab on the way out. And then you head out the back side of the res, which normally public wouldn't even see that side of the res. You go through, there's a big fire training center on I guess it's the east side of the res. And you head out onto the diagonal. And then from there, it's pretty much a straightforward 2-loop course. So you do one big loop, and then the second time you come by the entrance, you pass it. Sorry, the first time you come by the entrance, you pass it, do another big loop, and then you come in. There's 2 aid stations. You would get 4 hits. So there's one aid station on Hygiene, that's 1 and 3, and then there's one on Monarch Road, which is 2 and 4. That last hit is within a couple miles. I think it's at 53.8, 54. So it's right before you're getting off your bike. And then the second time you turn back into the res, you do not do the little out and back. You just basically come straight into transition. The run is a counterclockwise. I'm always mess those up. It's a counterclockwise. So you run over the dam. And it's basically a straightforward 2-loop course as well. There's 6 aid stations, and then we call it the one hit wonder, which is 7. The first aid station is just water, and that's directly out of transition. And then you start hitting your true full aid stations. And then there's the 7th one, which after everybody passes at one time, you wouldn't hit it again because you're heading towards the finish line. So that's what we call the one hit wonder. And then the second time you come by the finish line, you actually run right by it, which we love to do. We want you to feel like, think you're almost there, and then do the whole thing again. And the second time you take a left and you go down the chute. So, yeah, so that's kind of the course as an overview.
So I have a question that came up in the chat.
Sure.
Is the bike course clockwise or counter? What you described was counter, I think is what they're saying. But it was clockwise.
It is clockwise.
Yeah.
Okay. The out and back, you're turning left, so it's like a kind of an awkward turn, but the course itself is a clockwise course. Sorry for the confusion.
No, it's all good.
Well, thanks for the clarification.
And people always want to ask or want to know what products are going to be on course nutrition wise.
So we have we're gonna have the typical high electrolyte drink on the bike course. It's Morton, I believe we're having Mortal, sorry.
Portal.
Yeah, and then the Mortine gels. Um, then the run course is the typical same thing, Mortal. And then we have the snacks. Not sure about Red Bull. I don't want to say anything that I know, but typical Coke, water, electrolyte drink, and then some food and snacks, and then the gels as well at the aid stations on the run course.
Some.
That is correct. Thank you for the clarification. Moral hydration and Martine gels. Yeah, and those are just to be used on the course, not to stuff your pockets.
Good one, Brian.
Being up there all day, sucking on those gels, probably people are probably done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I
Those
don't
gels
want
for
to
the
taste
day.
one of these again.
Yeah, no, for sure. That is very true. I actually really like their products. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
I'm loading up on the salty margaritas,
Yeah.
my flavor on the Mortal.
Yeah.
It's got the color of a pickle, though. I don't know if you noticed that. It looks like pickle juice, Rich.
I haven't seen it. And my bottles aren't clear, so I haven't seen it. But I do like the electrolyte count in it, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I do like the cleanness of the gels. Like it just feels like a clean product.
Mhm.
So I'm a user.
Question related to the course. You know, we all know how much shade is on this run course, which is to say there's maybe 3 trees.
Yeah.
In the past, there's been those little like cloth, like white towel, almost like t-shirt towels to put over your head and soak in water. What strategies or what things will you have to help keep athletes cool if it's a hot day?
Yeah, I think we're planning on doing those again. I don't want to confirm. I can drop in the chat, so if anybody has access to this chat after, or I can confirm. I'm not 100% sure, but either that or some type of like sponge where they can, either dip your hat in or grab the sponge and dump it on top of your head. And then obviously we'll have sunscreen at the aid stations as well. If you're not familiar with coming to Colorado and the sun here, it cooks you. I came from North Carolina the first year. I raced it when it was a full here in 2014, I believe. And I think it's the worst sunburn I ever had. So definitely prepare for because you're exposed if it's a sunny day. So yeah, just keeping yourself cool with the enough electrolytes, but don't overdo it. And a little bit of ice water on your head or in your hat. Or, a lot of people like to put it on their wrist. That's another thing. If you wear like a buff or something, or some type of gaiter, can put it on your wrist, keep that. Or they have the zip ones that you can throw it in and have it on your neck. Those are some suggestions for the athletes to kind of keep cool. And then, yeah, and then just take care of yourself with the sunscreen and SPF lip balm stuff.
Tip. And by the way, I did that race in 2014 with you. That was a
It was a very hot day. It was a very hot day. And I came from sea level and it was tough. It was tough.
I would love to ask Brian, just from the point of view of someone who has not done this race before, can you walk us through race week?
Sure.
What does the schedule look like, including athlete check-in, briefings, any key events that athletes shouldn't miss?
Yeah, so we open registration expo, the res. It's 2 to 6 on Thursday, and then 9:30 to 4:30, I believe, on Friday. It's a mandatory bike check-in on Friday, which you cannot bring your bike on race day. That's pretty much standard across all of our Ironman events. Maybe a few outliers here and there. So we have two briefings on Thursday and one briefing on, I think 2 on Friday, maybe 3 on Friday. I should be more versed in this, but the event schedule is online right now.
Yes.
But I would definitely recommend, if you've not raced this race, come to a briefing. Allow yourself the 45 minutes that you're going to take. Ask questions there. There's also the thing, this is a community. There's going to be people there that have raced, 50 70.3s, or maybe even multiple Boulder 70.3s. Just ask them the questions. I think that's the beauty of the community is like, hey, what'd you do when you raced it last time? Or what do you do when you're really hot? Or how do you keep yourself cool? Tom Zebart has been one of our longtime announcers, been in and around the sport forever. I think since the beginning, he's one of the OGs. He's going to be doing our briefings, and so he knows just about everything you can know about the sport. And so come to the briefings. Even if you think you know everything, you may hear something that changes your race day. Allow a little bit of time to park, whether that's on Thursday and Friday, and we can discuss the Saturday parking and stuff in a little bit later. But just allow yourself a little bit of time, because there is limited parking at the res. So if you're in a time crunch trying to get over there after work or whatever it is, just allow yourself the time. And then the other big thing is, I would say, is just, in general, like, remember this is supposed to be fun. I think sometimes we get so uptight and so, just kind of excited, but it's just this nervous energy. And we forget to kind of just have fun with it. So you're going to be in a beautiful location at the res. Take a second, turn around, take a deep breath, and look at the flat irons. But yeah, all of the schedule stuff is on the site now. And then the plan is to have the athlete guide out by the end of the week.
Excellent. I was going to ask.
Yeah, so that has all of the information any information that you missed, and even just some of the basic rules that go along with racing triathlon. So yeah, that's kind of an overview.
You reminded us to just, remember to have fun. That's the reason that we're doing this. And also to take care of each other, out there, right? To be supportive of each other, give each other a smile, give each other a high five. Giving those out really comes back in your racing. I've got one more question for you. And then I think April's going to ask about the shuttle service and all of that.
Sure.
And then we're going to open it up to the audience. So if you're sitting there thinking about a question, you're going to have a chance to ask it here in just a minute. My question is going to be, for the folks that are bringing spectators with them, where is the best place for spectators to be? And what are some of the things you're going to have for spectators in terms of like food trucks and stuff?
Sure.
And like, what should they bring?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this race is, and then kind of will lead into what April is asking about. There is no parking at the res on race day. So that's everyone. Unless you're volunteering, which we always could use more volunteers. So if there's bring them in. But there is no parking at the res. So all spectators. Two things about the shuttles too, there and the res, and they're very serious about this. There is no dogs allowed at the res. So do not bring your dog. It won't be allowed on the shuttle, but it also won't be allowed at the res. So if the driver misses it somehow, they'll make you leave. So we have to leave the furry family members at home. And then I think out there at the res, once you get out there, you are kind of a captive audience. This year, there's a new cafe that has opened at the res that I believe is just this month kind of launching. And they're going to try to partner with us to make it at their big grand opening kickoff. They're going to have several food tents around the grab and go around the res at 2 different locations. We're talking about possible third. McDevitt's Tacos, who does the athlete food, is gonna have a truck out there vending in the morning, is with like burritos to go, as well as coffee. And then we have another coffee shop that's local out of Boulder coming. I think it's Astro Coffee is coming as well. So they're gonna do the same thing, grab and go. So there's gonna be food options for purchase. And then this year we're trying to have a band that can, just play, to have some kind of acoustic music or music going on. This isn't confirmed. I'm pretty close to getting it all dialed in, but some type of music, entertainment on the stage that's already set up there. And then we'll also open the beach. So there's swimming for like the little swimming area that's right there. So family and you got kids and or you just get hot and want to go take a swim, bring a bathing suit. Things to bring, what you're going to need for the day. I don't know, that looks different for everyone, but a chair or sunscreen or a bottle to
Umbrella.
refill with water. All of that type of stuff, I would say. Anything you're going to need for a long day think about a long day at the beach or a long day at a picnic, depending on how fast your athlete is. I would just bring it all. But definitely the sunscreen and the chapstick, and all that stuff. So that's kind of my thing. And it is not necessarily, once you're there, like, you can't see anybody. There's no spectating really on the bike course. There's no really spectating on the run course. You get to see them pass by on the run, and give them a good high five or a cheer or a hug or whatever. But pretty much you wish them the best in the morning. Maybe give them a couple high fives before they head on the bike, and then the same before they head on the run. So just based on this course and the difficulty of getting around and the fact that you're shuttled, there's no real like drive out to a location to see them. So
I had a follow-up question with that, Brian. For the family member spectators, we're going to transition into parking and shuttle logistics, but can the family members, if given the bike ticket, can they pick up the athlete's bike for them and have it shuttled to their vehicle?
they can, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. As long as they have the ticket that comes with the packet pickup, they can come over and get the bike. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What should athletes and spectators know about parking and shuttle logistics?
It's a good question. So, we were throwing a little bit of a wrench this year. If you live in the area, have you seen the entrance to IBM, which was now the Kindle, but was the IBM for years? They're doing a massive bike improvement, greenway improvement along the Diagonal Highway, and the entrance is gone. So what we're having to do is basically we're coming in a 1-lane road off of Monarch and turning into the parking lot. So what I'm advising is just that allow yourself an extra 15 minutes. It's not that big a deal. You're probably not going to sleep that much anyway. It's the day before race. But that 15, 20 minutes could change the the hurry and the rush and the anxiety of if you're sitting in traffic. And we don't know what it's going to be. It's the first time we're going to do it. It's a 1 year only thing. We're pretty confident that we'll be good. But if traffic backs up and you've given yourself that buffer, you should be good. So everybody will have to, this will be in the athlete guide as well. So I'm sure there's people now already hairs are starting to stand up on the back of their neck. Just allow yourself a little extra time in the morning. And so basically everybody will have to go up if they're heading north on the Diagonal, or 119, they're gonna have to do a U-turn at Niwot, which will be help controlled by law enforcement. Come back and turn right on Monarch. We have massive parking lots there. So once everybody turns in, there's plenty of parking. And they'll load shuttles, and shuttles will leave from there and head to the res. We have plenty of shuttles. On the other side of that, so yeah, that's kind of how it'll work. Everybody has to basically funnel in a skinny road to the parking. So just allow a little extra time in the morning.
Evening, like after they're done racing, where will the shuttle, like where will the shuttle drop them off? Will it drop them off right outside of transition area?
No, it'll drop them off just inside of the guardhouses at the res. So there's the two parking lots that are in the north and south lots, is what we call it, or what they're referred to as. Once they come through the main gate, they're basically going to just do a U-turn, drop, and head right back out. And that's going to be going all day long. We used to come into the res, but based on the time that it takes to go into the res with the spectators and everybody walking, and we've decided to just drop. It's a short walk to transition from there, and all you're bringing is your gear because your bike's already been dropped off. So,
Do you know if VIP members will have access to that lot, or are they also using shuttle service?
I believe the IP will have access to the parking.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 99.9% sure that's part of the VIP
That's part of
purchase.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, question monsters. We could keep going here, but let's pause and open it up. If you have a question, please come off mic and just ask it.
Yes, and let me just make sure I can unmute everyone here real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, I'll say on any questions that were asked here where I left you wondering, or any questions that are asked and I leave you wondering, you can always reach out to the Ironman inbox that's online, and those questions come to me. I would give out my personal email, but I've not had the best of luck with that. So, but the emails will go to our athlete service team, who's great. They're really good at what they do. And if any questions they can't answer, or any questions that are referred to, Brian said on the podcast, they'll come to me and I can help answer it. I don't want to leave you wondering.
All right, and if you do not feel comfortable coming off of mute, you can also put your questions in the chat. We will fully accommodate here.
A couple people come off mute and they went back on mute. Come on.
I know
Be
Zed's got a
brave.
question.
He did. He came off mute for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll ask.
Poor Zed. Yes.
Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, we got you.
All right. So, by no means am I like a triathlete yet. I am still training under Coach Rich, and so right now he's trying to get my zone 2 together. But I do try to like figure out like where I stand. And right now I live in the esports virtual world. And I'm wondering, this is like a future type question. Would there be a virtual like active esports component to Boulder 70.3 going forward? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really answer what the company's planning on doing with that. We had something like that for a while during the COVID days, the VR racing, where like pros race, but then there was also a chance to do the sport and stuff like that. That's no longer an arm of our business, but I'm not sure the plans to do anything like that in the future. So I wish I could answer more, but I don't really know.
Want to ride the Boulder course, it is available on Full Gas. It's just I think it was filmed just a couple of years ago. Yeah. My buddy Bill Plock is in the video at the very finish with the camera in his hand. Anyway, so yeah, and Zed, if you ever want to race on Full Gas, we could do that.
Roger that.
Yeah, and there was a question about parking at the res for the 2 days leading up to the race. Yes, you can park on Thursday and Friday. You can park at the res.
Okay, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Casey.
I'm sorry. Hey, I wanted to thank you guys for all your time and energy in this. And I might have missed exactly how you said it, but after the race, how is it that we get our bikes? I know they get put on box trucks, I believe, but can you cover a little bit more about the safety of our bikes? How are they secured? Are they shoved up against each other? What goes on there?
Yeah, I mean, we do our best to ensure the bikes. I mean, we're all athletes ourselves. We do our best to make sure we're not going to damage anybody's property. So we have ratchet straps basically from one edge to the trailer to one edge of the truck to the other, and we rack them with like we would on a bike rack. Handlebars, or sorry, seats and handlebars, and we don't cram them together. We give them a little room to move from driving back. So
okay,
yeah,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, honestly, we really do our best to not damage anyone's property. I mean, there's no guarantees, and if something ever happened and you felt like it was a neglect on our side, that would be something we would handle, post race, but. We try to get the bikes back as efficiently as possible in the same condition you gave them to us.
Okay, appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question, Brian. Hi, and everyone. Any advice on elevation? I don't know where's everyone coming from, but here in San Antonio, it's very flat and very kind of sea level. So any advice or things that we could do Particularly myself, I'm just getting there 2 days before the race because I can't take that much time off my week. So yeah, wanted to ask you that.
Sure. I mean, I don't coach anymore actively. I mean, Rich might be able to answer that question better. My experience when I came out here in 2014, I lived at sea level. I lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where the Ironman 70.3 North Carolina is. And I felt fine until I really pushed, I guess, like when the gun went off at the swim and I started to kind of get into a zone 3, like I actually was giving some effort during the shakeout ride, my little shakeout swim. I felt like $1,000,000. So I would just say, just be aware that you may, when you start to actually give some effort and go into some higher zones, you may just feel a little more gasp, a little more air, or a little more, you know, out of oxygen a little quicker than you would on a normal ride at home. I just backed off a little bit and caught my breath, and then kind of found that comfort zone that might have been a little less than I was hoping for, but that's fine. It's just, it is what you can do. I would say don't gas yourself coming out of J Road and turning right up 36 and you're trying to keep a certain edge in your gasp for air. Maybe you just have to, you'll settle into it, but just don't ever do it too quick. Um, and yeah, find that zone that's comfortable for you that you can race in.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brian.
Yeah, of course.
It's a great answer. I think the thing that I hear most from folks who come from sea level to race in Boulder, the swim is what catches them off guard.
Yep.
The most. They're just surprised that they're feeling that impact so quickly on the swim. The environment adjustment for elevation is probably about 7 to 9% across all three disciplines. So if you dial back your swim pace about 7 to 9%, your power about 7 to 9%, and your run pace about 7 to 9% compared to sea level. You also train in a hot environment, so you've got that going for you, and humid. So there might be a little bit of a counter,
Yeah, it's
performance.
106 today, so
Yeah, you've got that all day long, my friend. And
great. Thank you very much, Rich, for saying that. Perfect.
I think Laura wanted to ask a question, so I wanted to make sure we gave her some space here.
Thanks, April. Mine was more of just like a fun one, and we might have answered it already just with some of the nuances, but I was going to say, what is maybe something over your years that is specific to the Boulder course that people don't think about that can be a hang up or a snag for folks? I know we covered elevation and no shade. Anything else that is like a insider tip to the folks here today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say if you haven't run on a gravel path or a gravel road or, a little bit off a road, and once again, this isn't trail running. This is just, it's packed dirt with some gravel on it. And actually some of the backside of the course is really packed down dirt roads. I would just say, go out and run a couple runs or a run or two on some gravel roads. Just get used to the little bit of difference. Your pace will slow down very insignificantly, but slow down a little bit. Your feet running on rocks versus pavement, it's going to feel a little different. I'm not advising changing shoes or doing anything crazy or pretty close to the race, but I think that's a little tip that I would give. If you haven't run on dirt roads, if you've done all your training on pavement or asphalt, go out and do a couple runs where you're maybe just switching back and forth from asphalt to dirt.
Awesome, thanks.
You're welcome.
we have a question in the chat from Jacob. What time do you suggest we arrive at the shuttle pickup day of race?
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to start running our first shuttles at 3:45 a.m. And that's because we got to move 2,000 plus athletes before 7:05. So yeah, get there early. Our first shuttle should start running. If we have a shuttle ready to go at 3:30, we'll run it at 3:30. But yeah, 3:30 to 3:45 is safe. That's the earliest ones. And I would say every year we have that shuttle where they're almost getting off the bus and running to get into the water. So don't be those people. just give yourself some time. Give yourself some time. If something's out of your control, that's out of your control. But don't be because you decided to sleep that extra 15 minutes. You can sleep on Sunday.
Coach April and I will be there in transition. Our shift starts at 4:15, so we can't wait to see you. We'll be there, giving you high fives as you come into transition.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excited.
Earlier is better. Earlier is better.
And what I am taking away from this, Brian, is that athletes should be bringing all the things that they need to bring to transition, because once they're there, they're there.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can, I mean, obviously, maybe not obviously, but like you're checking your bike in on Friday, but you can bring your bottles for your bike because you don't maybe not want them to sit out in the heat all day long after. Or you can, bring the snacks, your gels or whatever, and load your bike up in the morning. Check your tire pressure, all the things you want to do. But you've already dropped off your bike the day before, so you're just bringing everything else you need for racing.
Do you want to ask a question?
Sorry, Rich, I think you got cut off. What was that again?
I saw Casey was off mute. I was seeing if she wanted to ask a question.
Oh, no,
I have another.
No, because I already asked one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, you're welcome to ask more. I was going to ask, one of the things I've noticed being in transition as a transition volunteer, common things that athletes ask about, is there water available? Where's the water, water bottles or water to fill bottles? Should I bring a pump, or not? Or will they be provided things like that? And also like bike maintenance, will there be tech support?
So yes to the bike support. We will have a bike shop there. It is Tri-Sport. We have a bike tech there. They'll have a tent set up. It'll be labeled. You'll be able to find them. And we actually zip tie a ton of bike pumps around transition so that they don't walk off. But there's plenty of pumps. And also too, a lot of people bring their own pumps. Like when I was still racing, like I would just, you look around probably to your right or your left and somebody's got a pump you could use. But if not, we will have pumps. And then bottle fills. Yes, we will have a table with bottled or with water to fill your bottles.
Bring your bottles. I actually had somebody arrive without bottles last year. I'm like, what? You didn't bring bottles?
Bring bottles. Yes, we have water for those bottles.
And then I was on the tip of my tongue. Transition bags. After you are done setting up your transition area, what do you want people to do with their transition bags?
They just leave it at their bikes. Yep. So
okay.
You come out of it'll depend on wetsuit or not. And you basically will have all of your stuff at your bike. So you just leave it at your bike and try to always think about all the people around you. So sometimes people just get in a hurry and they're throwing their stuff off. What ends up in the way of your neighbor and your fellow triathlete. So just leave that there at your bike. Yeah.
Awesome. And you mentioned something, so I'm just going to go there. Wetsuit or, like wetsuit or not. The chances are, my guess is that it's going to be wetsuit legal, that it probably won't warm up enough to be not wetsuit legal. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm hopeful. I always like a wetsuit race, right? Yeah. I'm hopeful that the water stays cool. Snow's melting pretty quick, so hopefully the water is nice and cool.
Big neoprene hug.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? April, any questions from?
I thought I saw one about a bike tech, flat tire on the bike. Yeah, we have bike tech. We have on the course, we'll have bike tech. They'll be in vehicles as well as on scooters. I would say right now, if you haven't, because when I worked bike course a lot, I would see people that had didn't even know how to take the tire off their bike. You have 30 days. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. Rich and April may be able to they may have coaching videos on how to do this. change your tire before race day, practice. So even if you can't get it fully completed, you've already started the process when bike tech pulls up. Like you have your
Yes.
tire off, you have the tube out, or if you're on a tubular, hopefully, or a tubeless, hopefully you have some sealant with you. But I would just say start the process, because you may, with 2,000 athletes and 4 to 5 bike techs out there, you could wait a little while. It is only 28-ish miles of course, so it's not a huge span to cover, but that's my biggest advice. Yes, there will be people out there to help, but kind of try to be as self-sufficient as possible, even if you've never done it before. At least start the process.
I did have one question, Brian, about
Sure.
the if there's an option to have a morning bag and to drop a morning bag off, or is that not for Boulder?
So right now we've just been putting them along the fence, so like just kind of out of the way. So if like you have a sweatshirt because you're cold in the morning, you can kind of stash your bags out of the way against the fence is how they've been doing it. There won't be an
Excellent.
actual like morning clothes drop off. It's just to stash it, or just stash it at your transition out of the way, to where you'll have it at the end of the race.
Excellent.
Yeah. Any other questions?
They're settling down. I don't see any new ones in the chat. And this has been absolutely amazing. We are incredibly grateful that you gave an hour of your time with us this evening, and to help athletes have a have a successful day. And especially for those who are here, we're the ones who are really kind of craving the knowledge. So
Yeah, for sure. As I said, I'm glad to help. I'm glad I was here to help. The more information you have, the better chances are you have a successful race day. So, yeah, I mean, my big takeaways are allow some time in the morning. If your friends and family are coming, tell them to bring everything they're going to need for the day. Have fun. Remember that it's a long day. And eat and drink enough.
Mm-hmm.
well, thank you very much. And for those who are interested, I did put a link here in the chat. Coach April and I are having a 3-weekend training camp this weekend. This coming weekend is a swim focus camp in Colorado Springs and here in at Chatfield. The bike focus camp is the 24th and 25th, both days at Chatfield. And then the last weekend, May 31st and June 1st, is up in Boulder, and we have Coach Bobby McGee coming as a part of our run drills, run mechanics part of the workshop. So,
And we will be covering how to change a flat tire, folks. So don't miss out on that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Brian. We really appreciate your time. This will also come out in our podcast this weekend with some discussion. So if there's any other things that you want to get out or clarify, we'll be happy to put that in our podcast and show notes.
Yeah, sure. If I think of anything or I need to correct anything I said, I'll make sure to get that so you can get that information out. But yeah, I think it's, as I said, I want everybody to be fun and have a serious race, but also, remember that we got into this and we do this for fun.
That's right.
Perfect.
We
Yeah.
get to do this.
We get
We'll
to
see
do
you in
this.
Boulder.
That's a great way
That's
to
right.
say it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's in Boulder. I mean, come on. So
Yeah, you can't beat that.
right.